All right. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I hope everybody's having a good Friday. Um, hope everyone's having a good Friday as we talk about the big news in gaming. You know, I have free time. What feels like for once. uh, but yeah. Today, um, just going to respond about Sony doubling down on killing physical disc production for January 2028. I haven't given my thoughts or opinions on this yet, and yeah. So as you see here, Sony says PlayStation backlash not making an impact on business. So for those of you who don't know, earlier this month, Sony announced that in January 2028, so about a year and a half for now, um, no more. They're not going to produce any more physical disc copies for new games starting in January 2028 going forward. I'm sure that does not apply to say. Um, I'm sure that doesn't apply to say. Say if a game releases in December and gets a physical release, I'm sure that there will still be disc produced of those games, right? But and so there's been this massive backlash um, from a lot of people online saying, "Look, if that's the case, I'm not getting the PlayStation 6. I'm selling my PlayStation." Or some have said, or some are on the opposite end, doubling down, buying the PlayStation even more. I mean, I'm sorry, not the PlayStation, but buying physical games, right? Uh, there's been a lot of varied response, but all of it has been negative. All of it has been negative, and so my 2 cents on this is that's why we're going to talk about it, right? Because my thoughts initially, not being a PlayStation guy, I still didn't like the news, because you know how this stuff works. You know what I'm saying? There's always cause and effects to every decision. You know what I'm saying? And by the way, I'm an Xbox guy. On Xbox, what 91% of people are purchasing their games digitally. Um, and I'm still buying games physical. That listen, I've been calling myself a dinosaur for years. I've been calling myself a dinosaur for years. But anyway, this isn't something that I particularly like, and and yeah, I know I come here and console war a lot and talk my fair share of shit while breaking things down. Um, but yeah, I think I'm going to start here. So while fans' protests have caused Sony to reverse course on many unpopular decisions over the years, PlayStation's upcoming switch to all digital games as of 2028 is not going to be undone. Sony made that clear, which I do find that interesting. Of all the things, and that's how companies are. You know what I'm saying? They got it. They A lot of them got a plan they want to implement, and they're gonna go full steam ahead. And I'm gonna say something a little bit. Yo, what's up, Gogo Po? Hey, thank you for joining, my friend. Yeah, but I'm gonna say something in a little bit that I just got to make clear. But as it says in the latest earnings call, Sony addressed the backlash from fans head on for the first time, and they're not bulging. Past that, it's making it clear to investors that this is not exactly impacting its business. Well, you got to understand, something like 85%, I believe, of PlayStation gamers are buying digitally. And what needs to happen is for what needs to happen is for those digital people. And by the way, Also with the digital purchases, it's not one to one. You know what I'm saying? It's not a situation where every single person who buys disc don't buy digital and vice versa. There's usually crossover. You know what I'm saying? There's usually crossover. Even somebody like me who prefers physical, I buy my fair share of games digitally just for the sheer fact that, you know, there's been times where I got a code, you know what I'm saying, or I found something cheaper digitally and just went ahead and bought it there. Or a game came out that I wanted, couldn't find it and just went ahead and bought it digitally. You know what I'm saying? People do that stuff. You know, people there are people who 90% their game catalog digital, and then they'll buy that one game physically that they might play for a few hours and resell. You know, so I just want to make it clear this is not some type of this is some type of us versus them thing with this, right? And Google Post says Sony's hubris as usual. Oh yeah, yeah, Google Post. And by the way, Sony's hubris is nothing new. It's nothing new. All right, we've seen this from probably day one if you're old enough for decades. Let's not forget Sony's the same company that said in 2005 2006 that they expect you to work three jobs to or two jobs to get the PlayStation 6. That's how valuable it is. Right? So their hubris is nothing new. Yeah, matter of fact, that was their old CEO Ken Kutaragi, who people want back, right? So let's not forget these things, man. Their hubris is. How about all the lying they used to do, pretending that that I think it was the PS3 sales processor, one of them that they said had real human DNA and all this other bullshit. Go so say, yep, decades they've been arrogant since they bought American Hollywood studios in the late '80s. See, there we go, straight out of Google Post's mouth, man. Yeah, so this arrogance is nothing new, right? It's just that for in this moment we're seeing some backlash for once, and I'll say this, Google Post in chat. I'm glad that for once Sony's the one that's taking all the heat first. Because Lord knows this is. Listen, if there's anything, I'm glad that for once they stole this from the Microsoft playbook of announcing something that will be that's from PR perspective not the best. You know, a bad PR move, right? And they're getting all the heat because let me tell you, this this there's some shit Microsoft would have definitely done and have done. And it was stuff that wouldn't bother me in particularly, but would piss off a lot of people. And but another thing though is that the people that get pissed off, a lot of times the people that get pissed off, they don't even really be like, how many people who hates Xbox don't actually own an Xbox? You know what I'm saying? And they're the most vocal people out there, and they're hyper vocal about everything with their Xbox hate. But then they open their mouth and immediately they don't play off Xbox. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Since Sony made this move, Gogopo, do you know the amount of people I've heard that said Xbox don't have a refund policy? I'm like, no, Xbox refund policy is similar to Steam's, right? Where there's this game called Scars of Blood I bought digitally a couple years ago. I didn't like it. I played about an hour and a half of the game. I didn't like it, and I got a refund. No problem. There have been games that I bought in 2, 3 days later. I didn't start the game, sure, but I realized I didn't want it. Got a refund. Microsoft has never denied a refund that I've done. Now, granted, I don't abuse it by any stretch of the imagination. I don't do some bullshit like play a game for a couple hours. I don't do that with every single game where I play a game for a couple hours. Like, no, hell, there have been times where I could have got a refund and just took the L. Like a game like this game called Stray Blades that I thought was going to be a double A or indie version of Kingdoms of Avalor, one of my favorite RPGs ever. It just ended up being another fucking Souls like. Yeah, I could have got a refund after I played the first hour, realized it was bullshit. But I went ahead and took the L on that, right? But that's a me thing. All right, that's a me thing. That's not that's not Microsoft. So yeah, so people, that's how I know that a lot of these times with these arguments, um, they don't actually play on Xbox, and they always explode themselves immediately, and unfortunately they beat a lot of fucking people. So people think that the Xbox don't do this and that. I mean, the amount of people who didn't know in 2013 one of the features the Xbox One was going to do was let you have one physical game, and up to 9 other people could use it. I would say it blows my mind, but but people don't read as deep into this stuff, man, like that. They just hear the one opinion and base it off that. Google Plus. So yeah, the Xbox return policy is very good compared to Sony and Nintendo. Oh well, yeah, man, it's closer to Steam. It's closer to Steam's return policy. It's not too bad at all. It's not too bad at all. And and I know that they're going to be and with that stuff, and just in the digital world in general, this is why the argument of how digital rights should be implemented that's going to get more vocal and vocal now, on how digital rights work, and how that's going to work in terms of how ownership is viewed and what can and can't be used for digital licensing. Because I think I think it's perfectly okay is if you have digital content and you want to save it somewhere, that you should be able to do that. And I think that's very 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 different than somebody saving it and redistributing it, which would be copyright infringement, right? And that's why old VHS tapes used to have the FBI warning about this. You can't reproduce the content on the VHSs. You know what I'm saying? So if you could implement that on an old ass VHS, you could implement stuff like that on digital. Where it says warning: do not redistribute what's on this if you download it online. Yo, what's up, Mike Johnson? Mike Johnson, man. Yo, what's up, man? What's crack a lacky? Yo, it's the homie Mike Johnson. Only production, you're a bit advocate of physical games yourself. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. And that's and listen, there's something that I've said before, and I don't know how deep we dug into it in the past on the Unlimited Truth, but for me, it's not only a discussion about physical, but digital game rights as well. That's the argument. Listen, the arguments people are having now is what we should have been having 6, 7, 8 years ago. When because I first started hearing people say, "Hey, I haven't bought a disc in years," as early as 2016, 10 years ago. That's when I first started hearing it, and since then, yeah, that's the vast majority of gamers now. PC has been all digital for about 2 decades. My best friend's a PC gamer, and we are talking, right? And she out here saying, "Oh, I don't care about this news." When I brought it up to her, that's how the PC people look at it, who haven't bought a disc in their adult life, right? So with Sony doubling down on this, well, now the battle's going to have to be, okay, what does digital ownership look like? You know, and I think it's perfectly okay that if you purchase a license, that you could say save it to. Let me say, how can I put this? I guess save. Let's say that you got your, for example, the Xbox expansion card, right? You could, let's say you install a game on the expansion card and put it on another Xbox. Well, if that Xbox doesn't have the license to that game, you can't play it. I think it's perfectly okay to put the license on the expansion card along with the data. That way, that if you take that expansion card, put it on another Xbox, and that person don't own the game, they can still play it from that card. You know what I'm saying? I think stuff like that would work no problem, and it would. And I don't think it'll be exploited. I don't think it'll be exploited like that. Because the way that gaming works now is vastly different how it was 3 4 decades ago. Uh, nobody has ever asked me to borrow a physical game in my adult life. You know what I'm saying? And people in my life know that I'm a huge gamer. They all know that I have a large video collection. Any woman I've ever dated have seen that I'm a huge gamer, and nobody has ever said, "Hey, Unlimited, can I borrow this game?" So that whole lending people game thing, it's not a thing the majority of physical owners do. So who cares if you put the whole license on the expansion card or on your hard drive or however you do it with Sony games? I don't know how Sony would do it. But anyway, let me get back to the article here before I get back to the chat. Hey, Faded Blaze, man, what's up with your Faded Blaze? Faded Blade. So yeah, so CFO Lin Tao took to this issue in the Q&A, and it was transcribed by Kotaku saying, and so we think about the future, and we put in a lot of thought and time, and we cautiously considered this, and we came to the conclusion that we're going to cautiously move this forward, and by move this forward, I mean the end of disc production. And if I'm not mistaken, they're already turning their disc manufacturings into something else. I think it's called Microlens. And to this decision, we have received various opinions, and people have very strong views. We understand that the community has put forth those views on us. Games are loved by many people. It's a form of entertainment that's loved by people. It's connected to people's fond memories in many cases. So we understand these emotions. We want to consider that. And in the future digital ecosystem, how do we engage in gamers? Is something that we are like to continue to explore. Hey, this is your typical corporate talk. You know what I'm saying? Saying a bunch of words without actually saying nothing. And saying nothing, you could kind of piece together what's actually being said here. Just how you know that they doubled down, that they're not refusing. I mean, they said it. I mean, this lady said it, Miss Lynn Tao here, that they're still going to go forward or cautiously move this forward. Yeah, that word cautiously doing a lot of heavy lifting because they are cautiously doing shit, man. All right, they've probably already factored in, this is something that businesses do, man. They probably already factor in what do they who how much they expect to lose and this and that, and they're saying, well, we're going to lose X amount of people, but that's okay because we think a certain amount of those are going to just jump on the bandwagon and go full digital, and they'll be correct. They'll be correct in a way because, like I said, not every person who buys physically just buys it exclusively physical disc and don't have a single digital. That's not That's not happening in 2026. I'm sorry. You're not going to convince me that every single game you own is just physical. Then that tells me that you don't support smaller devs. You don't support indies because those games don't often can't afford a physical release, right? So I don't believe a single soul who says that they don't have that they don't have a single digital game in their library. And since there's a lot of crossover, and this applies to digital people as well, there are a lot of digital people who have a handful of physical discs. All right, they may have been bundled with the PlayStation at one time, or maybe they saw it. Maybe they just saw it for a game for $20 and picked it up, and it might be their only physical disc or one of their very few. And so what I think will happen though is, so that's why I think that when that move happens in 2028, there are going to be people like this. They don't think. Again, another thing, most gamers they don't think this hard on this shit. You know what I'm saying? This is something that us hardcores who really just focus on games like that really care about. Let me get back to the chat here. Mike Johnson said these companies must make a way for us to download and save our own games. Yeah, I think. Listen, you could easily do that without breaking these license agreements, Mike. You can easily do that without breaking a license agreement, in my opinion. And like I said a few minutes ago, I don't think it would be abused because that's the one thing. You know, DRM and all that shit. It was always the argument was always yeah, the argument was always about pirating and all that. You know, have an issue that the Sega Dreamcast used to have. I don't know. I don't think it'll be nearly as bad as they say if you just because that one's. Let's say that you could that you allowed them to download and save the games somewhere else. You know, whether the license is on the actual expansion card or whatever Sony uses. I think it'll just be the SSD, and you put into another PlayStation or Xbox. You're not gonna lose out on much sales like that. People gamers aren't connected like that. Like that, I guarantee most gamers live way too far from their gaming friends for that to be just practical. And nobody's gonna mail a video game. You know what I'm saying? To their friends, it will just be easier for their friend to buy it and play together a game share. Faded Blaze said, I'm not worried about Sony doubling down. I'm excited for E-Day multiplayer. Yo, that E-Day was fire, man. Bladed, that E-Day was fantastic, man. Yeah, I'm ready for E-Day as well. I'm 100% ready for E-Day as well. Faded. Yeah, I love that video they put out the other day. Yeah, and you know, I got a lot going on. Most of it is school, and if you ever try to get into the medical field like I am, you know that you, you 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 know how much there's to study with this shit, right? So that's what takes up most of my time. But yeah, I saw that Gears E Day Faded Blaze. I can't wait for that horde mode. That's what I can't wait for. Mike Johnson said, "Let me borrow a game." Yeah, man. I'd have to mail it to you all the way to wherever you live. And looking at this cautiously, Sony is running scared. I disagree with that, Mike. I don't think they're that scared. I think like Google Post said, man, hubris. This is Sony's hubris, right? This is Sony's hubris. When they say cautiously, that word is doing a lot of heavy lifting. They it's just more like they just saying that to because they know that game is going to pick up on this shit and think that saying that they're consciously doing this it is going to take away some of the anger. Again, I'm not gonna lie, and here's why I am going to be a fucking Xbox fanboy. It's nice that Sony's getting the hate on this, announcing something like this for once, man. Now, I don't think that this will be anywhere close to 2013 was for Xbox because Xbox was just ahead of their time. Even though that exact same generation, people went the way that the Xbox was predicting, and I see people on my friends list, and myself included. You know, we don't just use our Xboxes for gaming. People don't just use their place. People use their PlayStation for porn more than they do gaming, right? And I see it on Xbox, man. People be on there on YouTube and Netflix and HBO. Our consoles are not only gaming devices; they're entertainment devices. You know, they're entertainment devices now. And that's exactly what Microsoft said in 2013. That's exact hell. People went digital in large numbers. Look, we're not just having this discussion because because Sony is cutting off the head. Um, it's just cutting off the head so fast. We're having this discussion because most PlayStation gamers buy digitally. All right, and they bought digitally at such a large number. So Sony think that they're not going to lose out too much if they're cutting out the physical gamers. Many of whom are going to just go digital anyway after 2028. And a lot of people who are screaming now in 2020, in 2030, when the PS6 comes out, they're gonna be the ones saying, "Oh, thank you, Sony, for sending me the PlayStation 6," or "Oh, I can't believe I got mine pre-orders, I got my like how everybody was showing their receipts in 2020 when these consoles went on pre-order. They're going to watch how many of them are going to do that. All right, and the ones who are going to go to PC like they're saying, they're not. Sony's already factored them into the losses. I think Sony knows they're being quiet as they usually are. The silent treatment. Yeah, listen, Gogo Poe. Sony. So listen, when has Sony ever been the type of company to reach out to the gamer? Notice how only after people, you might get a interview from people like Sean Layden after they left Sony. But them motherfuckers, they ain't doing it now. All right, Herman Holston, whoever else at Sony, and their CEO name Hideki. Them motherfuckers are not gonna be out here interviewing with IGN about fucking video games. They don't interact with with the gamers like that. So of course they weren't going to interact with gamers over this. That's not how Sony works. All right, they built up a bunch of brand loyalty, despite despite fucking the PlayStation gamers over, and they're praised for it for a long time. Now for once, um, now for once, they're they're actually facing some backlash, at least publicly enough for it to be talked about. X to doubt, Sony still gives free games monthly digital. Yeah, Faded Blaze. Yeah, exactly, man. Exactly. Now with those free games, they're tied to your account only as long as you're subscribed, right? It's not like you remember back when Games of Gold was releasing games and the backwards compatible games were they'll just be, they're just yours even if you canceled games, Xbox Live. Or is it like how the Xbox One games were, where if you didn't have Xbox Live, you couldn't play them? I assume it's the latter. Mike Johnson said Asher can fix this problem. Come out and say Xbox will have a physical forever. Yeah, listen, I hope that even if the physical drive is the Xbox physical to digital thing, just have, because look, with physical games now for the last 15 years almost, you put the game in and it installs to your hard drive anyway. So I could live with the idea of, say, all right, I put my disc in and it's now the digital version of it, as long as it as as you could do that with any other Xbox. You know what I'm saying? That would be the caveat for it, I guess. But yeah, 100%. Get the easy PR move at Xbox. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes just take the easy PR move. Be the good guys for once. Listen, I know people still turn it into a negative because it's Xbox, but just get the easy PR move on this one, Asher. Just do it. Just do it. Just say, yeah, this Xbox Helix going to have a disk drive. Get praised for the next year and a half, and then and then eventually they'll get back to their Xbox hate bullshit. Mike said, Unlimited, if Sony don't fix this, I'm not buying a PS6. Yeah, Mike, they're not backing down, man. And I'm not saying that to out of spite. I'm saying that because they're saying this right here. Um, we're going to cautiously move this forward. And cautiously is being said to take some of the sting out of it. And hold on, let me see something here. Let me just see a thing. All right. Yeah, just give me 1 second, chat. I just want to make sure. Okay, so Sony's largest PlayStation disc plant is already reassigning staff to make other products. The plant in Austria has invested 30 million pounds in new technology. I'm sorry, 30 million euros in new technology to make optical micro lens instead. So yeah, if Sony's turning their largest disc plant into a micro lens factory, yeah, I don't see a world where they reverse it. Maybe the reversal that could happen, Mike, is they allow others to produce this. But from my understanding, based off everything that been going down, I mean, what 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 that might mean, Mike, is because I think if you print a disc on PlayStation, they need to approve it. You know what I'm saying? They need to give you the okay. And from my understanding, they're not gonna okay any disc production starting January 2028. I think from if the game releases January 2028 onwards. Google said this is the most they ever said, I believe, but it's a sign they will not give in to demands. No, 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 no. They ain't gonna do that. They ain't gonna do that. And here's what the other part of the article says. At this point, we are not seeing any impact on our business, but going forward about the content sales, a large part is already digitized, and therefore, as a result of the discontinuation of this, we don't see that there will be any negative impact on our business. However, as I already said, the players have attachments, and we have to think about how to respond to that feedback. 1 second. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah. So if there is going to be impact on their business, you're not going to see it in a month. You're not going to see that in a month. And what's really going to delay this is GTA 6, because I can guarantee you, people did not cancel their GTA 6 pre-orders. If you think people cancel their GTA 6 pre-orders in any large numbers, that isn't just social media brownie points, then boy, I got a bridge to sell to you in Brooklyn. Because no. So this November, when GTA 6 makes a hell of a lot of money for Sony and Xbox, Sony and Microsoft, Sony's still gonna come out and say, yeah, we had a great quarter this holiday season, or whatever they're gonna say. All right. If there will be impact, you're not gonna see it until maybe next year. Excuse me, maybe next year. And I'm being generous there. And I'm being generous because I don't want physical disc to go away. Yeah, I'm a dinosaur. Y'all, if you follow me long enough, you know my ass is up here, like fucking Tyrannosaurus Rex or Brontosaurus. All right, I love my unboxing videos. I love collector's editions. Love it. Really, MJ. What would they need to do to make you okay to buy a PS6? Google Plus said Xbox doesn't want to sell physical either, but they'll try to do the best backwards compat they can. Yes, you're right, Google Poll. Now on Xbox, it's even more skewed. While something like 85% of PlayStation gamers are digital or buying games digitally or something like that, it's as high as 91% on Xbox. And Xbox has even a larger number of people Google Poll. Oh, it's hot in here. Has an even larger number of people Google Poll who hasn't bought a disc in a decade. You know what I'm saying? There's an even larger number on that on Xbox. But that's why I say, man, just get the PR, just get the PR win on that one. And Xbox, man, they have been a little confusing because they don't release a physical version of games like Avowed, or the collector's edition of Starfield didn't have a physical. Neither did the collector's edition of Indiana Jones. Both games I bought the collector's edition for. Love them games, especially Starfield. Um, you know that with Xbox they tend to release games without the game on disc. So they've been so, but at the same time you know they'll put the disc version of Ninja Gaiden 2 on PlayStation. I don't get it. I don't get it, man. I don't really get it at all with them. Sony needs to elaborate on this cautiously now. Yeah, I think what we're talking about here, Mike, is them addressing it. Now I don't know how like this is one where I'm gonna be real with you. If you're a PlayStation fan who buys physical, you're gonna be upset for a long time, man. And I hate to say that to people like Mike Johnson, man, who's been here for years, who's a PlayStation guy, or other PlayStation people who stop in who buy physical, right? But yeah, this is one I don't see a 20 Xbox 2013 type of turnaround here. I think Sony's hubris is so high on this one that they're going to keep doubling down even further, and it's going to anger a lot of people, man. But I really and truly believe, Mike, is that even though that people like you're upset that they're ready to move on. What I mean, as much as I love Xbox, there's listen. One of the things I say, I'm a consumer first for a reason, you know, and I think it's completely justified that if Xbox, PlayStation, PC, Nintendo, if they ever do anything to lose your dollar, listen, I'm not going to stop you because if that's what you value, who am I to tell you? And I'm not going to tell you otherwise. But I still think a lot of people are going to say, Unlimited, you saying that they're not going to reverse this clip, this so we can come back to it. I'm not sure what you're saying here. You saying that they're not going to reverse this clip, this so we can come back to it. Look, y'all. Listen, man. You know. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I have no problem claiming I'm wrong. But yeah, I don't see it, man. When Sony's saying shit like we're not seeing impact on our business. GTA 6 is launching this holiday, which is going to be a spectacle, in not just gaming but in entertainment. That's just going to carry PlayStation sales the way Call of Duty does annually. A matter of fact, speaking of Call of Duty, that they just released the remastered of Black Ops, and apparently that did what 5, 6, 7 million, and that's a fucking 15-year-old game. Well, it might not be 15-year-old. Let me not exaggerate too hard, but that's an old ass game. right? So that's what Sony's seeing. See, whenever you get backlash and the words might be angry, but the dollars are still coming. Even if the dollars are coming from people who aren't upset, Sony's going to see the dollars more than the anger. And so when millions upon millions bought Black Ops on PlayStation, when GTA 6 is going to be a mega hit, you know what I'm saying? All I'm saying is that Sony's going to look at that and be like, "Oh, yay, let's keep this up." But we'll see. We'll see. Sony completely better wake up. There's a generation that really doesn't give a shit about PlayStation, and they're in their mid 20s now. Excellent point, Google Poe. Excellent point. Excellent point, man. And these are people that are moved on to like PC and free to play games and all that bullshit. Yep, they don't care one bit. I do think physical should be an option. Agreed. Yeah. When I say Sony's not going to relent on this, I'm not saying that to agree with them. Let me be clear in case I haven't, or just click my video and see what other videos I've done uploaded in the past. I do not in any way, shape, or form think that physical disc going away is good. Even if 10% of the people are buying them. You know what I'm saying? I don't like that. But me not liking it does not mean that I got to lie to myself of what Sony is gonna do. And I've been somebody who said I've been thinking next generation we're gonna be digital only consoles anyway. Can't wait to play the E-Day beta on the 6th. Yep. We get to play it if you have Game Pass Ultimate. And a lot of us do, Google Poe. Yeah, man, E-Day's gonna be amazing. E-Day's definitely gonna be amazing. Um yeah. And apparently the Halo game on PlayStation is not selling too well. Unlimited. I got my gaming PC right here as a backup. Yeah, same here, brother. Same here. Yeah, and I got one of those. They say it's mid range, but I mean I could play games at like 4K over 60 FPS no problem. So I don't know. It feels a little more high end than just mid range to me. Yeah, but let me ask you this. So PC is already digital. So why jump to digital that way instead of just continuing buying digital on PlayStation? Especially if you have, let's say that you got your indie games, maybe you had a game physically that you went ahead and bought digitally just because it's easier to deal with or something. No, situations that I know people have done. Um, are you going to abandon those games to go to PC? I'm curious. I'm curious. If Vinyls is making money, they can do it with gaming. Yeah, well, Vinyls and gaming are very, very different. These games are costing hundreds of millions of dollars, right? So spending money on shelf space, producing the disc and the plastic and all that BS and distributing it from wherever it's manufactured, most likely China, to other parts of the world does cost. And and I think the video game cost aspect of it is another reason why Sony wants to push digital so hard, Google Poe. I think that's another aspect of it. Sony's pushing it so that they could cut that part out and just get the higher profit margins from digital games sold. Because with digital, you don't gotta pay the people who shipped it, the people who are putting it on shelf space, the people who are making the disc, who are putting them in the boxes. You know what I'm saying? You're not doing any of that. So I think that's another aspect to what Sony's trying to do. Cut off some overhead. And we're talking about an overhead that they think that will be worth it. So yeah, true, but I was thinking in terms of limited game type thing, more specifically on demand. Yeah, yeah. Um On the man, I'm coming to the conclusion that might have to be the answer. My issue with the on demand games though, it just really sucks when you can't buy the game while it's available for pre-order, that pre-order window, man, and then having to pay the secondhand price for it. Just it's sickening to me, man. It sucks, but I guess that beats nothing. You know what I'm saying? That beats being digital only for those of us who prefer it. Um, in Sony's case, and with Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft, I'm very confident that you need the approval to print the disc to even release stuff like limited run. And that's where the complication for places like limited run is going to come from. Um, because from my understanding, not only is Sony moving on from their own disc production, as it says, their largest disc plant is rearranging to a micro lens factory. Not only is Sony doing it themselves, I think that they even if you go to Sony and say, "Hey, we want to print disc after January," they're gonna say no, no, that they're not in the business of doing that anymore, and that's going to be the side effect, one of the many side effects to the issue. Physical will be more for merchandising, and if possible, include a full physical copy. Ideally, yes. Ideally, yes. Um, ideally, yes. Um, and then maybe it'll make some type of resurgence as well. Let me not be too delusional. I don't know. I'm not super optimistic on that on physical gaming. Um, I think the metrics of that CDs, vinyl, and DVDs are just a lot different. I think it's a lot different. That yeah, I'm not super confident in the average gamer to caring that much. You know what I'm saying? That to where the best bet is probably some type of nostalgia bump in a decade where kids born now, the 10-year-old now who'll be 20 in a decade will be like, oh wow, this looks so cool, and might jump into it. Or maybe there'll be nostalgia for it from people who like, oh man, do you remember when we used to buy games on disc? That's probably our best. But even then, I'm not completely sold on that. But yeah, man. This news here, so as of now, they're not backing down. I don't think anything will change. And by the way, Sony, man, Sony with that diabolical timing too, because yeah, because they came out, they said this shit right. They said this, and they know that GTA is coming out this year, going to be a mega hit. They saw people buy the Black Ops game digitally. It's only released digital. Those old Black Ops game, man, and they're gonna lord that over the gamers for a minute. Wolverine's coming now. Wolverine's gonna be on disc. But if for when if it proves that Wolverine sold significantly more digital than on disc, that's gonna be more proof, finger wagging proof. Like, see, we told you we were making the right decision. You know what I'm saying? So, but we'll see, man. We'll see. Yeah, give me 1 second, folks. All right, let's see. Sony's trying to act tough, though they're not tough. Yeah, yeah. Look, man. Mike, I don't know. Like for PlayStation fans, this is the Sony hubris that we Xbox people have been saying forever, man. That Sony arrogance, and this is not the first time the Sony arrogance. Ken Kutaragi told y'all in 2005, 2006, yeah, we expect people to work a second job to get a fucking PlayStation 3, right? And look, this article, what does it say? July 6th, 2005. Sony wants you to earn that PlayStation 3. Look at this shit. Um, for customers to think themselves, I will work more hours to buy one. Like this was nothing new with this company. This is nothing new with Sony. This the arrogance, that Sony arrogance. It's just that this is the first time a lot of PlayStation fans are really feeling it themselves outside of the broader gaming space. Because it was one thing when Sega dealt with it. You know, Sony paid for games off the Sega Genesis. It was another. It's one thing when Xbox or Nintendo face, were the recipients of it, but now the actual PlayStation gamer, you know, go say I just checked limited run game price and they are very expensive. Like the new Star Wars pre-order box is 300. Crazy, 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 crazy. Yeah, that's too fucking much. That thing better come with the actual Star Wars pod racer. If that's the case, that's too fucking much. No one worked the second job to get a PS3. He was wrong. No, nobody bought the PS3 until they cut it. The PlayStation 3 didn't sell until they cut it to like $300 a couple of years later. Like the PS3 when they were originally released, Mike, that shit, the awful games like I think it was called Nair and that one dragon game, Lair. I think it was called Lair. And there's another awful dragon game, shit like Mag, that's supposed to have 120 players. Nobody played that shit. Like the PlayStation 3, especially when it first came out, was dry of games. It was dry in games, man. And they removed backwards compatible to lower the price. And they said nobody used the backwards compatibility. No. And so and that's the thing that people conveniently neglect whenever they talk about, oh yeah, but the PS3 that shit at the time, $600 was a death knell for consoles at the time, and they had to do everything in their power to lower the price, and people finally bought the fucking things. Sony's gonna learn the hard lesson, us PlayStation fans. We don't mess around. Y'all better keep your money where your mouths is, man. Because I better not. They better not have a better. Because what's gonna fuck you guys over this holiday season when GTA 6 come out and whatever the new Call of Duty is, and they say shit like, yeah, we had our best holiday in years. Y'all better put your money where your mouth is, man. I'll say that. But yeah, my phone's getting blown up, folks. So I'm gonna call it here. Thank you everybody for joining this episode of the Unlimited Hangout. Gogo Poe, Mike Johnson, Faded Blaze. Thank you guys. You guys have an excellent weekend, and I am out.